Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Happy holiday season. Happy New Year's. We are thrilled to be back with another episode of Inside Major League Pickleball. But first, before Tyson and I dive into this week's episode, we have to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, starting with Pro XR, the official paddle of MLP, the only paddle custom fit for your grip. Knock Around, the official sunglasses of MLP, quality shades that won't break the bank. Or Organic, the official nutrition partner of Major League Pickleball. Transform your health with plant-based nutrition from Aura and Franklin. The official ball of MLP, the Franklin X40, delivers the best in-game flight out of any ball on the market. Hello, hello. Welcome back. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle McMahon, one of the voices of pickleball and a former Michigan volleyballer, current sports broadcaster, wannabe pickleball star. Really wish I could have gotten drafted this year, but it's just not looking likely here, Tyson.
Did you put your name in? Did you apply?
No,
that's one of the first steps.
I know. I missed it. I probably need to play a little bit more than I have been, but maybe in the near future. But that was a teaser of the voice of the infamous four-time Survivor contestant, pickleball's fashionista. He is Father Nature, a holistic healer of sorts, of many.
Sure.
We dove into the potatoes last 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah.
I would love an updated holiday insight from the Tyson Apostle after taking a week off.
Yeah.
What's the most interesting thing that happened to you this week?
The most interesting thing that happened to me, man, put me on the spot here. The most interesting thing. I don't know. I mean, just playing Santa Claus over here, always in my mind thinking of who I can give pickleball stuff to. Like that's like the go-to gift, is you're like, okay, get into pickleball. Not only that, you give the gift of pickleball and then you get to play throughout the rest of the week because a lot of people have time off and it's perfect. So I did get out to the courts and it was fun. How about you?
Love it. My holiday week was good. I was in Naples, Florida, the headquarters, they say, of pickleball.
A lot of people do say that. Yeah, the Mecca for sure.
The Mecca. So I got to play at the East Naples Community Park, which was awesome. 65 courts. Ooh. I did lose to a couple of 80-year-olds to close out my performance there on, I don't know what day it was, the day before I left. So I'm not pleased to announce that. It's probably what's holding me back from getting drafted here. But
yeah, somebody saw it.
Somebody saw it. No, it was awesome. And that's the best part, right? Like it used to be go out in the backyard, toss the football around. And now it's like everyone's playing pickleball. I have so many friends that never touched the sport and their parents gave them paddles for Christmas, to your point. Now the family activity is going out to play a game of pickleball. And you love to see it.
It's perfect. It's like, they always had like the turkey trot, but nobody really likes running. Like you'd have to be a psycho to really enjoy going out. Yeah, and running. And so they had the 5Ks, the turkey trot, all that stuff. And then they had the turkey bowl, which is, I think, historically touch football. And that was fine, but like you still like have to have a love for the game, and it's not like you can come in without any talent and still be productive. And so pickleball is like perfect because, it's the great unifier, like really age, gender, none of it matters. And even if you're just teaching people, it's still like enjoyable to just like see somebody else experience it for the first time.
Yes. It's so, like, to your point, unifying. Like, just even a couple weeks ago when I was out playing, you have an old grandma on the court playing with her grandsons. Like,
right.
I just love that. Like, it's so fun for all. It's accessible. It's easy it's user-friendly, right? Like, anyone can pick it up from 80 years old to beating 30-year-olds and grandsons alike. And I just think that's the best part, especially for me as a former athlete. I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, I don't love working out. Like, I hate it. Like, I don't want to go to the gym and run on a treadmill. That's boring.
Correct.
That's literally like, I hate it. So I use pickleball as my workout. And that's, to me, it's fun. And I think a lot of people use it that way, but as an athlete myself, I'm like, if I'm going to go work out, I'm going to go play pickleball. Like, done. Easy.
Yeah, that's how I spend my workout hours. I am the same. I'm in the same boat. Like, I spent so many years on a bike, so many years running, so many years swimming. Yes. And I was just like, I'm not going to grind just to grind anymore. I want to do something I enjoy that doesn't seem like I'm just grinding. And pickleball is that for me.
It really is. It's so fun. But as it relates back to Major League Pickleball,
yes,
in our last episodes, we took a week off. Santa Claus treated us well. And prior to taking a week off, we discussed the draft for the Premier League, which was so awesome, so exciting, so many moving parts, so many different looking teams with owners and new faces and the PPA's involvement now. So that was awesome. And now, the past week, most recently, we haven't gotten to discuss the Challenger League and the draft there, which has some familiar faces from last season with Major League Pickleball and some new faces alike. So once again, if you're new to MLP or familiar, it's 24 teams broken into 2 levels, Premier level and a Challenger level.
And we're going to go over all of that.
Yes, we are. So we begin with the Challengers draft. And this was exciting for many reasons because we see icons like the Lee Whitwells of the league. And then we see new icons, the Sam Querreys now joining the pickleball circuit. So starting off there, I guess, Tyson, bring us through what your overall impression was of the Challenger draft and what jumps out to you.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So we had the Premier League draft, and everybody is, kind of ranked by their duper rating. And then after the Premier League draft, the Challenger League drafted their players from this existing list that still existed. So everybody put an application in that had a certain rating, a certain level of play. And the teams could draft whoever they wanted from that list that had applied to be part of Major League Pickleball. So the Challenger draft, they went second. And like you said, we get a mix of familiar faces, veterans of the game, people that we are very familiar with from seasons past. And we get a lot of new faces as well, up-and-comers, people we haven't seen before. And for sure, the most notable and the biggest maybe question mark to a lot of people is former tennis professional Sam Querrey, who is not that former. He retired from professional tennis still this year. By the time you listen to this, it will have been next year, but 2022 is when he was officially retired from professional tennis, reaching number 11 in singles in 2018, a legit tennis player. And what makes this draft special, him being chosen first out of anyone for the Challenger League, is a couple things. He doesn't have a duper rating. So whoever drafted him must be familiar with his play.
Mm-hmm. Or his capability and potential.
Or his capabilities, yes. But either way, it's like, does that translate to pickleball? That's always been the question. And Sam Querrey is going to be the guy to answer it. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly, there has to be some pressure on his shoulders to represent professional tennis players. Because we've talked to Travis Rettenmeier before, who was a high-level doubles player years ago, took a pause and then came to pickleball. And we see that story a lot, like former tennis players took a pause, shifted into pickleball, or not high, top level world ranked tennis players, but collegiate tennis players, good tennis players, but not the best in the world coming over to pickleball. We see that, but we've never seen one of the top tennis players in the world moving straight into pickleball. Right. And Travis has said it takes time. Mm-hmm. It's the different game. You have to be patient. Has Sam studied the game enough? Does he know the game enough? And this is where it's an experiment, and I'm excited to see it.
Right.
It's just like people have seen him play, sure.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen him play competitively that much, and he doesn't have a real ranking. I'm sure he'll have a real ranking by the time this thing kicks off, but what do you think?
I mean, I think this is the trend where it's only the beginning for this trend, as we've been talking about really since we started this podcast. But I think if you look at players like Anna Bright, perfect example, strong tennis background, not a professional tennis background necessarily, but strong tennis background. And then it didn't take her that much time to get really good at pickleball and to climb the ranks to be one of the top women drafted in this year's Major League Pickleball draft. So
right.
I think that the DC Pickleball Club was smart in seeing that 6'6" frame, 35-year-old.
He's got to be one of the tallest guys there as well, right? Yeah. Or the tallest.
Which, I mean, huge advantage, right? Like even Casey Patterson, who's one of our co-hosts on this podcast, the reach you have into the kitchen is such an advantage. But the hand-eye coordination and the similarities, like, yes, pickleball and tennis are different and it's a different skill set. But once I don't know, it's such a leg up, like to have that strong of a tennis background. I feel like he's just going to come onto the scene and dominate.
Well, I think that's, yeah. And I don't disagree, but I think that that's going to be the answer. Sam is going to answer the question that pickleball has had for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Can these top tennis players come in and just take over the sport?
Right.
Will they be pushing out the existing talent? Will they be taking over at the top level? Will the current top level be able to compete with top level tennis players when they put their focus on pickleball?
Right. Yeah. And that's the question. And I think that's what, to your point of this being like the I don't know, the experiment point of how we see this go. I think it's just going to continue to rise all boats. I don't know if he's going to be able to get to the levels of like a Ben Johns, obviously, like in year one. Yeah. But could players like this start to set a new bar beyond Ben Johns? Like that's the part for me that I'm like, so because Ben Johns is the pinnacle, right? Like that's correct. From a pickleball standpoint, that's what we look to, and that's the upper echelon, the premier talent level. And now once we start to see this influx of talent with a similar skill set, with the capability of peaking very quickly, not peaking, but you know what I mean, exponentially reaching the top, that's where I'm the most excited to see where the ceiling is on the level of play that we've seen to this point and where it's about to go.
Yeah. And I think it's also the question of, is someone like, let's say like Hayden Patriquin, who's been playing since very young. He's still very young. When he's in his early 20s, is he going to have a stronger pickleball skill set than someone like Sam Querrey, who's played tennis his whole life and moves over to pickleball? Like, which is going to be more beneficial to a professional pickleball player?
Or with young kids,
or with young kids, like is that, and I mean, there's so many questions to be answered through Sam Querrey's season here. And Sam, I hope you're not feeling the pressure, but we're all watching you.
No pressure, but all the pressure.
He's used to it. I
want to know who he's leaning on for advice. We've got to get him on here one of these days. Like, is he talking to the Travis Rettenmeyers of the group? Is he going full pickleball mind, Tyson McGuffin strategy? Like, who is he watching? Who is he talking to? Who is his like mentor in the sport? And what's his transition? And I think too, like the rules of the game of like what the right way to play is, the technique stuff, like also might start to evolve, which is another exciting thing. The way we've been teaching it and learning it, of different nuances of this is what's different from pickleball to tennis, third shot dropping, one of those big key different nuances. How this merging is going to also alter the right way to play the game.
Yeah, or that's exactly right.
The different ways in which we teach it, in which we learn it.
We've seen the game change already from, mostly third shot drops to a lot more drives, a lot more speed ups, a lot more power. And this is going to probably bring an even greater influx of power to the game.
Yes, I'm so excited.
So yeah, I'm very, very excited. And I know you do, but your
still going to be a
backhand,
key part of it. But
your backhand speed up is so good, though. Keep that.
Thanks.
I think. I mean, our questions are going to be answered soon because literally we're
in a
like
month,
3 and a half, 4 weeks away from the first event in January in Arizona, and 4-day event.
Yes.
And we've known it's a 4-day event for a long time, but a lot of people are unfamiliar with how that 4 days is going to look. And here is the breakdown. And the breakdown is very important because we also built into it have the subbing rules. So let's go first. The 4-day format starting Thursdays. The Challenger group play will begin, and it's going to be 3 groups of 4 teams. That will be the group play on day 1. Friday, the Challenger quarterfinalists will come back and start playing. 6 teams will make the quarterfinals, and the top 2 teams will get a bye and get to sail through. And then they play through the quarters and the semifinals on Friday. And then they have an off day Saturday. And then Challenger finals are on Sunday. Meanwhile, the Premier League will not start till Friday. And Friday they will do their group play, which will be 2 groups of 6. So the group plays a format a little differently between the 2 leagues. And then on Saturday, the Premier Group play continues all the way up until the quarterfinalists are determined. And then on Sunday, they're going to play the semis and the finals for the Premier League.
I love that.
So you're going to see on Sundays, if you're showing up just on Sunday or for TV purposes, you're going to see the finals for the Challenger League, and then you're going to see the semis and the finals for the Premier League. And so, yeah, what do you think there? Anything shocking, anything revealing, or pretty much what you expected? No,
I think I like how there's it being inclusive of more players and more teams and still getting, I mean, at least for TV purposes, for what I'll be doing from the broadcast this season, it's like you're getting the best of the best on Championship Sunday, which is how it should be. And I like that you're still profiling both leagues on Championship Sunday. So of the challengers, you'll have the top talent from that group, and then the Premier League, which who the heck's going to come out on top there? I just love that it's going to be inclusive to more players that we're going to be able to see come into the fold. Maybe Sam Querrey will be there, and we'll all be able to see this on display, all the way up into the Premier League, which we've been hyping the last couple of weeks. Annalee Waters, #1 pick. Is she going to be in the finals Championship Day? So I like it. I like the format. I'll be curious to see how the 6-team group play works. And I like the differences. I think obviously it's well thought out, well planned, and it's kind of a ever evolving process that they're fine toothing as they go along. So what do you think? I like it too. I think, I know that initially when they had said 4 days, some of the pros were like, oh, that's a long weekend for us. But nobody's playing 4 days straight. It's still the 3-day format. If you're Challenger League, then you're going to be there a day early, but you get Saturday off. And the subbing rules for Premier League are this. Premier League can choose any player from the Challenger League that has already been eliminated and is still present. And that is built in the way it's designed. That's one of the reasons that the Challenger League goes on Thursday, because some teams will already be eliminated. Half the teams will already be eliminated by the time Premier starts on Friday. And so that is where the subbing pool come from. The Challenger League does not
if you are eliminated, you do not have to stick around. But if you do stick around, you have the opportunity to sub in for someone if someone is missing. And that's where that Riley Newman conundrum that we talked about will come into play, is that Riley's team will get to wait and see which challenger players have been eliminated on Thursday, and then select one of those players to fill in for Riley, since he will be gone that first event. I think it's, so it's interesting, like here in this moment. And also they're going to, with the subs, they're paying the percentage of the event you play with your adoptive team. That's what percent of the prize money of that share you get. So because Riley's not there at all, this person subbing in for him will get the full prize money amount if they win. But let's say that somebody gets injured day one, and then a sub comes in and plays the second and third day for them, and they do it by games, the percentage wise. And so that's also fair. Like that's built into it all, so that there's no conversation or argument or speculation or confusion about that. So with that, if you're getting eliminated straight from the get-go from Challenger, are you sticking around the whole weekend in the hopes of getting picked up as a sub?
I would like to think so. If you know you're in the upper tier of talent that is going to be selected. And I would have a suspicion that these owners or players would be able to be like, nudge, nudge, if you get eliminated, like we are going to choose you as our sub. And then it also leaves open the floor for these new players who are question marks next to their name to prove themselves. And maybe that's their ticket to getting promoted to the Premier League in that way, you know? So I think it's awesome. I think that's an interesting twist too, because we were talking about the Riley Newman situation of the strategy behind that and the why, and especially with him definitely knowing he's not going to be able to attend certain events, that it's like, okay, so this rule obviously benefits them in that way. So I like it.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's like baked in. It's very clear. It's very concise. It's very easy for people to follow, and you're not going to have any, I know that there was some issue at some of the former events with a team kind of grooming someone to come in and sub for them. And this can't really happen that way now, because this is the pool. These are the people available. You get to choose one of them, fair for all. You can't bring in like a secret weapon that nobody's seen, or that you've been grooming for ages to come in and be your guy. And then for the Challenger League, they will be flying in and paying appearance fee for a couple of the top rated. So anybody who's been drafted is able to be a sub for the Challenger. Anybody who, applied to be drafted is available as a sub, but they're only flying in a couple of the top rated players that are undrafted as the subs for the Challenger. But any undrafted player on their own dime is welcome to travel to the events in the hopes of getting picked up as a sub. So if you applied for the draft, Michelle, and you didn't get drafted, you can still go to all the events, and fingers crossed, you can sub in for a team and get a percentage of the prize money. But more importantly, show your value.
Amazing. Luckily, I'll already be at the event, so I'll be available for hire.
But did you apply to be drafted?
I didn't.
Yeah.
And it might be a conflict of interest with the broadcast, but
they just have to make you wear a mic. Yeah, you can still dream.
Yeah, I'll just mic myself up and do the play-by-play as I'm playing. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. So
and not distracting at all. I bet the players on the court would love it.
They would love it. I bet it would really up your game too.
That brings me to the memory of Newport Beach when Irina Terashenko was like, can you just like bring your voice down a little bit. We can hear everything you're saying. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I have to speak over the broadcast. I will do my best. My voice cuts through glass. Oh. It was funny. We had a laugh about it afterwards, but
I've been there too. It's almost like,
it's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want them to hear me, but I'm also like, I have to project into the microphone, as you know.
But it also has to be exciting. You have to be excited about the excitement.
Exactly.
And that's like, give us a soundproof booth, maybe. New idea. Soundproof booth built around you so you can see and you can hear what's going on, but they can't hear you. Because I've done some commentating for the PPA and MLP, and both times it's like you're like at the side at the golf green, and you're just like at the and you're just like, oh, and now so and so's, and then you're like, this doesn't sound exciting. So then you like go bigger, and then the players start like looking at you like, yo, and you're like, hey, this is good for you. Me talking like this is good for you.
You don't know it yet, but it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally so awkward because it's like literally referring to them in third person as they're right in front of you.
Yeah.
Especially at Newport, we were like on top of the court. So it's
you
like,
were?
Yeah. But then it's also the worst when they're like, somebody makes a mistake and you're like, ooh, that's probably one so-and-so would want back. And they look like, you think?
Yeah, good observation.
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
thank you
funny.
for the reminder. Yeah,
that's really funny.
Side tangent for you.
So, what do you think about that subbing stuff? Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, straightforward. Makes sense. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to hesitate to fly in on their own dime to be considered as a sub. I would think that they would want to have some inclination of being chosen for that role, and I feel like that requires self-awareness and people will be in the know, but fun to just come to the event anyways. If you just go on your own dime and just get to watch and show face, I do feel like that has an impact for people. Like,
definitely
hey,
does.
I'm here.
I'm available.
I'll warm up with you. Let me play a couple games, show you what I got.
Yeah, exactly. And it is like you get to like the events I've been to. There's a lot of pros there hoping. I don't know if they're hoping for someone to get hurt, but they're definitely like hoping to play. And it's a good place to get some good games in, to network, to look at the teams, to
absolutely.
And I think that's part of it. So it will be interesting to see. Yeah, get to the sun. Arizona is beautiful this time of year.
That's right.
So are you going to be out at this first one?
I am. I'll be doing the Saturday and Sunday portion of the broadcast.
Okay.
We're going to have to play.
We'll have to definitely get out to play. I have a top secret guest coming in that I can't talk about yet, but I'm so excited.
Staying at your house, like house guest, or this is
not
like
house guest,
celebrity
just
guest?
Going to come play pickleball.
Oh my
with us.
gosh.
Yeah.
Can I come?
Yes.
Yes.
So
sorry, Casey, you're not invited. Just kidding.
No, we need one more.
Oh, Casey's coming too?
I guess I'll see if I can get Casey. He'll want to meet this guest as well.
Oh my gosh, cool.
He'll be more excited than you are about this guest.
Really? Are you sure?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'll hold you to that. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I'll bring out my excited broadcast voice and overpower Casey on this one.
He's talked about this guest on the podcast before, unprovoked.
Okay.
Now you got to go back and listen to everything.
I do.
Yeah.
You sure you can't say? When are you going to reveal? Next podcast?
They told me not to say anything.
Okay.
I already probably said too much.
Dang it.
Yeah. There's another new rule here at play.
Oh, yes.
This year for Major League Pickleball.
Serving. Subtweet Zane Navratil.
Yeah. So first off, USA Pickleball announced that no spin shall be imparted on the ball before it hits the paddle. And that your opponent has to have clear vision of the ball, etc. So pre-spinning the serve completely out. Major League Pickleball, on top of that, let serves will be replayed in Major League Pickleball this season. Mm-hmm. What do you think the reasoning for that is? And do you like it or dislike it?
I feel like I'm a little neutral on this one because there's a part of me that really enjoys watching the Zane Navratil serve, because it's fascinating for one, but it also is super effective, especially with rally scoring. So I feel like a big motivator in this one is obviously the rally scoring.
I think so too.
Having too much of an advantage. I would be curious to get Zane's perspective on it. He was salty about it when it came into play with the, we talked about it on our podcast. So we'll just bring back a soundbite from him. Yeah, I mean, I guess I get it. Like, even the playing field a little bit there, not give any advantage. But it's also like, if a player wants to develop that skill, why would you hold him back from it? You know, like, what's your stance on it?
Well, I mean, if you go back to how and why pickleball was designed the way it was to begin with, it was to promote an actual rally forming.
Yeah.
And so figuring out how to ace someone on spin serve is not part of that belief system. Although the game is changing and morphing and becoming different. But I also think that, like, I come from a sporting background of cycling, which is baked in tradition. And some things, like helmets, were not required for pros until the early 2000s, which is insane to think. And part of it was because traditionally you could see the guys riding without their helmets up the hill, and you could see everybody's face and all of this. And then on top, another thing was that you weren't allowed to wear compression socks to race in because they looked dumb. So it was like, you can't wear calf compression socks all the way up to your knee just because the aesthetics of it aren't pleasing and in line with the traditional image of cycling. And so I think that the spin serve kind of falls into that spot where, especially if you're turning your back to the court and doing this wonky twist thing, it's not necessarily like a real clean, smooth looking aesthetic. And I don't know that matters, but maybe it does.
Yeah. I'm just thinking in a comparison to like volleyball, for example, like if you limited the serves to a specific, like there's 3 different kinds of serves really in volleyball when you break it down. There's a standing, just traditional float serve. You could do a jump approach float serve, or you could do this spinny toss and then do a top spin serve. So if you're limiting the serve to be just a traditional way, I mean, these servers can still find ways to generate a really challenging serve with the traditional rules. But what I liked about the way that Zane Navratil was able to, I don't know if manipulate the rules is the right way to say it, but to develop that spin serve to give himself the advantage, like, more power to him. Like, if you're the best of the best, you should be able to develop the skill to return that kind of serve. So, like, I get the point of continuing the rally, but then wouldn't that be the same for, like, speeding up the game and the drives and the shake and bakes that we're now seeing more and more of? It's less of the soft game and more of the firefights at the net too. So wouldn't that same rule apply there? I don't know. I just think it's fun. It's a fun nuance of the game. It's a fun challenge, I would think, for the pros to be like up against, of like, all right, we know he has a really good serve. Here's the strategy behind it. But I get it.
Yeah.
I just think it's fun to like throw in another wrench, you know?
Yeah, I like watching the spin serve. I hate having a spin serve done to me.
Yeah,
and
that's
especially
true. It is
especially
annoying
when you have like these guys that are like so focused on the serve itself, and you go play, and they're just like, "Here's my wacky spin serve." And you're like, "Just give me a normal serve, dude. We're just playing rec here. Come on."
That's true.
And then half the time they miss it, or like they don't spin it perfectly and just let the ball drop and then redo it again, and you're just like, let's just get going.
Yeah, that's true. The serve could be such an advantage. It's just like you could use it to your advantage in such a way, especially in rally scoring, to like generate some points. So I guess maybe it's to also focus the play on the actual play and not generating points just off the serve too. Exactly what you just said, which I do get. But then I'm also like, at a certain level, spin serve's not going to phase.
Deal with it.
Yeah, deal with it. Like it's another like strategy of the game, and if you don't like it, then develop it yourself. You know.
Well, we're going to see some spin serves still. They're just not going to be generated by that tossing hand.
Good point.
So they can still come off the paddle as a hard slice, whatever. They just cannot generate it with their tossing hand. before it hits the paddle.
All right.
But then also the let serve is going to be replayed. And
yes.
that was over a year ago. That was how it was. And then it switched to playing the let serve. Do you have an opinion there on that?
Not a super strong one. I have never seen it in action where it's severely disadvantaged somebody when it's hit the net and then they have to play it still. So I'm kind of neutral on that one. I don't really, I guess I don't know. Like, I think the net changes the trajectory of the point more so when you're volleying at the net and it catches than it does at the service line. And it's not something that happens super often. So I guess, but what do you think?
Is this rule going to be more beneficial for the serving team or the returning team, or does it? Because I also am of the same opinion. I kind of liked playing the let serve because it just kept the game going.
Yes,
but I also know initially that I had heard from a lot of pros that A, there's hardly any let serves throughout, and B, why change it? Like, I think a lot of the pros I talked to were against continuing play off of a let serve and were pro redoing the serve. And I know initially when the rule had changed provisionally to the let serves are serves, it did throw you off a little bit because your mind wasn't trained to hit that ball. So you'd overhit the ball, you'd hit it weird. But then I think once you got used to it, it really didn't matter. So I'll be interested to see if this affects it, how it affects it. You're going to get just a little bit cleaner play, which maybe for TV purposes is good for people. And also, I think that, in a lot of other sports, it is a redo or, a let. And so maybe it's just going to be more comprehensible for the audience that doesn't play pickleball.
Yeah.
So
I think so too. I think for me, it's like with a volleyball background, it's like innate. Anything off the net, you just play it because that's the rule. But to your point in tennis, it just depends on your background. And as long as we just keep it consistent, I think it is. The part for me would be like, if I'm playing, I'm like, let's just keep playing. Like I hate starting over. Like I'm one of those people that if a ball comes on the court and it's not bothering play. Like I hate that. I really do. I'm like, but that's also.
So then you hate my strategy of hiring 10 people.
Are like, ball's on the court behind you, 10 feet away, not harming anyone.
Yeah, and I invented a strategy to maximize that, which maybe you guys can use. Did you hear it?
No.
You hire 10 people, put them in the audience with a pickleball in their pocket. They have to be trained enough to visually understand when you are behind in the rally. And then they secretly toss a ball out onto the court before the rally ends, so you get to replay it. That way, if you have all 10 of these guys with a backpack full of pickleballs all around the court, toss them on, you can continually replay a rally till you have the advantage to win the point, and then they don't throw any balls on the court.
You're fired. I would hate that. It's my least favorite thing. It really is.
This is Survivor brain.
It's 100%. That's your Survivor side coming out.
Yeah.
It's literally, I know that was like a side tangent, but I'm like, it's such a ploy for people. Like, if they know they're behind and they see that ball just at the corner of their eye, just roll slightly down. They're like, for your safety, we're going to stop play. Ball on. You almost rolled your ankle. And you're like, oh, come on. I was just about to win the point. You know what you did. So it's good to know that I know your true colors now, Tyson. Thank you for revealing yourself.
But
I just hate that. Like, just keep playing. Like, do we really need to have one more thing to stop play?
Well, the good thing is here at Major League Pickleball is that the courts are very separate from any rec play.
You're right.
And
you're right.
So we won't be seeing that there. So if you had put yourself into the draft and we're playing center court at Major League Pickleball events, you would never have to, in the back of your mind, worry about this. And you can focus solely on your game, which probably would step you up a full point on your duper rating.
Yeah, you're right. I've got to check in on that.
Like, I hope my opponents don't call a ball on the court when I Like, you got to focus on other things.
I know. It would open up so much more brain space for me. Especially when I'm losing to 80-year-olds on stable pickleball courts. Oh,
so,
man.
Okay.
Full circle.
Full circle. And we touched on all of it. And I am very excited that we're back, where it's going to be a big, big year.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see you in person.
I know.
In a little less than a month out here in Mesa, Arizona. That's my home court over there at Legacy. That's 15 minutes away from me. So
Yay.
I'll be there showing face and, setting trends, I guess, is
setting trends,
what I do.
Pickleball's fashionista. Can't wait to see what you're busting out.
What else you got coming up? Anything exciting?
What else is coming up? New Year's. I know. I'm just really looking forward to this. I can't believe it's already New Year's. I can't believe it's already January. But no, I'm really looking forward to once again being a part of the broadcast circuit for Major League Pickleball this next season, especially to see the two leagues and the relegation system and how it all shapes up. I don't really have any plans for New Year's Eve, do you? I think I might go to sleep. I'm tired.
Oh, I love just going to sleep on New Year's.
Oh my gosh. It's one of those holidays where you're like, I feel like I should be doing something. Oh my God, everybody's doing something and I'm not doing anything. And then it's like unnecessary FOMO.
Yeah, you feel pressured into it. We might try to get our kids to bed on time.
Nice.
Do a little celebration with them and then maybe go to the neighbors for a little bit. I have courts reserved for pickleball, and hopefully it works out. But the weather has been rainy here, which is beautiful for Arizona. It rains so little here that as a inhabitant of Arizona, you love the rainy days. You're just like, yes, they're here. It's like the opposite of Seattle, where you're just like, please don't rain. This is like, please rain, give us some rain. And so, yeah. So we'll see. I would trade good weather to play pickleball, but if I can't play pickleball that day, please rain.
Seriously, you're lucky. It's been cold in Dallas, too cold to play. And I also need to find a good group to play with here. Indoors.
There's Dallas?
Not a lot of, so putting that out there in the pond.
Okay.
It's been a struggle.
You heard it here first. What's your phone number for everybody out there?
555-5555.
Lots of fives.
8675309.
Yeah, I think that goes to something. I know it's a song. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. See ya.
See ya. Goodbye.